The crematorium. In Thailand, there are a vast amount of people who believe in superstitions, either spiritual stuff or straight up supernatural beings. I was not one of them, even though I am a Thai born. I changed my mind around 2 summers ago. To give you guys more background on what I was experiencing, the majority of Thai people are Buddhists, and there are a lot of temples around, providing convenience. Then, if there are temples, there will be the crematoriums. All Buddhist crematories almost look the same. A house-like structure that requires you to walk up the stairs, with a very long chimney at the top of the building. The tall chimney is based on the belief that the soul of the deceased would be sent high enough to reach heaven. This is what Thai Buddhists believe. At that time, I got into a university that was quite far from my home. It was hard finding a dorm since my campus can't provide enough room for all students. So an apartment was my only option now. I finally found one in my last effort. It was a nice apartment, 5 stories with 4 rooms on each floor and not too far from my campus. The rent was not bad either. I quickly signed the contract and paid the rent for the first month. The owner of the apartment also lived there on the ground floor. She was a kind-looking old woman, as everyone can expect from everyone's grandma. She told me that I can contact her if I ever need anything. She would be here at all times. My room was on the 5th floor at the end of the balcony, which meant that I would have to walk past every room to reach mine from the stairs. The inside of the room was really simple. There was a bed, a bathroom, and a closet. Nothing special. The owner gave me the key and walked back to the balcony. Before she closed the door, she told me, "Son, here is one rule. Whatever the reason is, don't open the windows from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. She then walked out and closed my room's door. I didn't want to ask the reason behind the rule. I just turned and glanced at the windows. The windows looked like small doors. No glass at all, just plain wood. At least I didn't have to buy curtains. I thought to myself. 3 weeks passed and my first semester started. All the studying and the extra activities kept me at the campus. Most of the time I was back at my room and was around already at 11 p.m. I never opened my room's windows. Still, the windows lingered at the back of my mind at all times. I made up my mind out of curiosity that I would open the windows the next morning. The next day at 8 a.m. I opened the window. What I saw makes me even more anxious when combined with what the owner said. A temple was below me, and standing in front of me was the chimney of the temple's crematorium. To be exact, the distance between my windows and the chimney was around 100 meters. I didn't believe in superstition, but somehow it sent shivers down my spine. Another month passed uneventfully. I kept the one rule in my mind and never opened the windows on the said time. The tap broke, so I went down to tell the owner. She sent me back with one handyman who also lived in this apartment on the 4th floor. While he was fixing the tap in the pipe, I asked him about the rule out of curiosity. He stopped and looked up back at me. There are some tenants who broke the rules. All of them moved out, he said. I then asked why it had to be between these times. He answered that these were times where this temple usually cremated the body. I then finally realized and tried to tell myself that it's not something abnormal. Maybe that the smoke from the chimney reaches the room. Still, all of those who broke the rules moved out. That was something unusual. One day late in the summer, I went back to my room after my activity ended. I bought a microwave oven to make a quick meal a while back. The problem started when I set the timer for too long. I smelled something burnt and hurried to open the microwave oven. The smoke came out and filled my room. I had to open my windows and my door. I didn't forget to check the time. It was 11 p.m. I could open the windows, so I did. After the smoke was cleared, I saw something. The smoke was coming out of the crematorium's chimney. I ran to close my door and windows. I tried to calm myself by thinking that I still complied with the rule, and that the rule did nothing at all but to spook the newcomers. The real thing happened after I tried to sleep around midnight. There were knocking sounds from my door. They were not loud but still clear at the middle of the night. Knock, 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 3 times, then stopped, then more 3. I got up and opened the door. There was no one, nothing there at the front of my door in the walkway. Might be a prank. I tried to comfort myself and went back trying to sleep. The sound did not stop, but I managed to sleep somehow. The morning came. I was preparing myself to go to the campus when someone knocked on my door. It was the owner and a male stranger. It turned out that this man was my neighbor. The reason for this visit was a noise complaint. Apparently, he heard the knocking sound as well. A week after that was a nightmare. The knocking sounds would not stop. Until one day I couldn't keep up with it, so I decided to confront the problems. This knocking prank should be stopped. I waited until late at night when the knocking started. Then it came as usual. I jumped up and ran to open the door. No one was there. I went back and waited, and this time I rushed to open the moment that the knocking sound came into my ears. Still no one. Fear ran into me and I went back to bed quietly, letting that noise haunted me through my sleep. The morning came and that day was a holiday. I woke up late due to the lack of sleep. I decided to stay in my room. I want to know what happened. I checked my room's door in case there were any gaps or anything that could generate the sounds on its own. I found nothing. Then I tried knocking. It made me realize something. The sounds did not match. I then tried knocking on my closet. Still different. The sounds did match with my bathroom door. I could tell that the only thing I felt at that time was fear. I went down to tell the owner about what happened. She replied with a question. If I happened to open the windows between the times in the rule. I denied and told her that the only time I opened those windows was last week at around 11 p.m. She looked at me, gave a sympathetical smile. She said that I had to still pay for 2 more months according to the contract in case I wanted to move out. I went back to my room. I opened my room's door. What I saw after that still haunts me until this day. I saw that all my windows were opened, seeing the crematory chimney very well. There was a figure. A man standing there on top of the chimney looking at me. I rushed to close the windows. I wanted to pretend that I never saw what I had seen. The night came. I laid on my bed, thinking about what to do. The windows slowly opened again. I looked at the time. It was 11 p.m. I got up slowly, scared, trying to close them. That was when I saw something. The vision before my eyes was the chimney as usual. But there was something on the base of the chimney. It crawled up the chimney. Took a while until it reached the top. When it reached the top, it turned to face me. It turns out to be a person dressed himself in yellowish orange. And that's what the Thai Buddhist monks would wear. My mind went blank for quite a while. What came after was sheer panic attack. The figure jumped down the chimney. I ran to shut the windows and went to bed. I covered myself with a blanket. There were knocking sounds on that window. Then it became more violent as I tried to ignore them. After a while, the pound stopped, as I began to feel relieved. The sounds came back again, but not on the windows. The knocking sounds came from my bathroom door. With all the courage I have left, and I didn't know what made me do it, I ran to the bathroom and opened it. Someone was there in the bathroom. I didn't have enough courage to face him. I just looked down at the floor, seeing the feet. There was something strange about the feet. The left foot was on the right leg and the right foot was on the left. I then built up my courage to look up from there. I saw the old and torn yellow cloth that monks wear. When I looked up to his face, he was staring at me. I blacked out. The morning came and I woke up in front of the bathroom door. I really just saw a ghost of a monk. I didn't know how to react. What I only know then is that I just couldn't live there anymore. I went to the office to tell the lady that I will move out today. She told me that I could not get the money back since I was the one who broke the contract. But I didn't care. I just wanted to move out. What I saw that night still haunts me. Still, out of curiosity, I went to the temple compound to make some merit and to ward off bad luck according to our belief and tradition. The place is looking normal. The crematorium stands there in the corner of the compound. There was an old monk sweeping the floor near the place. He then turned his face toward me. He then asked me if it was scary. This is as if he knew what happened the night before. He then asked me to follow him into his house within the compound. Then he started telling me the story. It was around 30 years ago, when he was in his early 30s. In this temple compound, there was once a monk who was practicing something that any monk should not be doing. It was black magic. The monk was seeking a way to control the souls of those who had died. As the belief goes, those who practice these kinds of rituals will not die a peaceful death, and the soul will not be freed. That monk one day disappeared without a trace. Then several days later, 3 other monks began to disappear. Then people began to smell something rotten within the house of that monk. The other conducted a search and found one chest. Inside the chest, there were 3 objects around the same size wrapped with the yellow cloth. Inside them were feet, all of them were rotten. From what they saw, all of the 3 feet are left feet. The body of the 3 monks later had been found buried behind the house. The monk who first disappeared still had not been found. The three monks were sent to the crematorium according to tradition. Something strange happened. The smoke came out very less than expected. After the funeral ended, people began the inspection of the crematorium. And one person looked up the chimney. He saw something blocking the chimney. He lifted his lamp up. He saw a monk, his body twisted, stuck there in the chimney. When the body was brought out of the chimney, he carried the 3 missing feet with him. The oldest monk at the time told the people that this is the ritual of those who practice black magic. This is an attempt to cheat death by carrying the odd number of right feet and climbing up the crematory's chimney. This must be the ritual gone wrong. The funeral also later was done for this monk, but his body could not be burnt regardless of many attempts inside the crematorium. So his body was buried inside the temple instead. Until this day, people around the area had been afraid to look at this chimney when there was a funeral. Some of the people who do so would see something similar to what I saw. The monk also told me not to be worried, and to just let it go. That monk was still finding a way to make his soul at rest, but it would be impossible. Until now, I still am afraid to look up when I see any chimney of a crematorium. I fear that I might see any smoke coming out of it, or something standing there on the top.